into, man, in our episode here, man. How we feeling?
Yeah, we're ready.
We're ready to rock and roll. Yee. Welcome to Utah Cannabis Club, man. Yes, it's your boy Sep.
You got Gabe, JJ, Hobby.
Welcome to Utah Cannabis Club, y'all. We are here with a very special guest. Who are we here with, boys?
Yes.
Juice Man. JC Beck. JC Beck.
JC.
Hey, guys.
What's up,
We're
dude?
back around again, full orbit.
Yeah, full orbit. Yeah.
Back in full circle again.
The unreleased.
Yeah.
Actually, probably was
About a year
like 10
ago.
months.
10 months, yeah.
Yeah, because it wasn't last. It was this year.
Oh, for real.
It was like probably February or March.
Yeah, it was early on in
I've
the
got a
year.
permanent residence, as you can see.
I like this.
Yeah, I'm saying.
A little bit better.
this, yeah.
It's a big level up. Everyone can sit comfortably now.
Yeah.
Glass windows, moving couches and stuff. Last time.
Smart. Well, that's all part of it, right? Learning and progressing and doing things different than you did before.
100%.
The glow up.
The glow up, exactly.
Yeah, dude.
One of the first questions we always ask people when they come on, man, what are you smoking? What you want right now?
That's an interesting question because maybe that. Well, anything that I can get my hands on, really.
Nice.
Constantly chasing flavors, but right now I like a strain called Lamp.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's something that we've been doing some R&D on and hoping she's growing right now on the ground. So picked her up from someplace else that someone washed her and pressed her. So just wanted to get a jump on what that terp profile looks like and hope that we made a good selection. And if it comes out like the one I'm tasted, I think people will like it.
Nice.
The lamp.
So I love Lamp.
Yeah.
What's the cross on that?
It's that is a good question.
Lamp. Isn't it the
Baker's dozen and
Ooh,
really?
Baker's
Yeah.
dozen.
I had some of that in
What?
Arizona. It was actually
You had some?
Yeah, I remember you had that.
yeah. We hit the we're like want to go hit the bong outside.
shout out Schwell?
yeah, it's
Is that a Schwell strain?
It's
Yeah,
Schwell.
Wow.
Fire, dude.
Shout out to Schwell, man.
Yeah, I remember picking it up. It was really nice.
Yeah.
Super light colored buds.
Doughy.
And that was a flower.
Isn't that the roasted lemons?
That's the Baker's dozen. You're probably right.
It's a roasted lemons, right?
Mhm. That is the,
Pretty sure it's roasted lemons to Baker's dozen.
Pink lemonade to Baker's dozen.
Pink lemonade.
There you go.
which that's roasted lemon.
That's
Right.
Yep.
But so lamp is cake fuel to Sugar Shack. And that Sugar Shack, we had that Sugar Shack too.
That sounds
Yeah, Sugar
delicious.
Shack's bomb.
Especially as a hash.
Delicious. Dude.
Well, and that's why we went out and got those genetics specifically, like Gabe said, Schwell or Farmhouse Studios.
I mean, that's basically grown for hash.
Yeah,
That's their claim. We breed for hash.
Breed for
The dude's
hash.
name is Kel. That's why it ended up to be Schwell. But yeah, with just the way that he dives in with the photos and really looking at those heads, I wanted to get those strains and bring them to Utah. So we're hoping
Thank
to
you
have
for that.
those in a couple months, and it never ends.
I'm excited, dude. I'm
always
excited to
more.
see that down the line.
Constantly searching. It's always a topic of conversation.
Yeah.
Talked to 2 people today, tried to get different cuts, but I also can't get overzealous too because everything's got to have a time and place. We can't wash the whole world. I would love to.
You're on the flavor.
and I do think that might help, but you gotta
You're on the flavor
Pace-
train right
pace
now,
yourself.
and you gotta, stay on track.
that's exactly.
Sometimes
You got like
you
a
gotta switch
specific
tracks.
too, you know, like there's kind of like I know there's like a mission too that you're like chasing with that. So that's the nice part. Flavors, percentages, you know, like all these guys that tap into these different things, like that's what sets them apart too from like the general. And like going to those guys, you know, that have that source.
Yeah, the connoisseurs.
Yeah,
That's really what it is. You know, it's a
Like-
fine line. Is what it's turning into. Is like hash is really people's fine line in the cannabis world.
Yes, there is definitely that laying with hash, and I get it.
Yeah.
with your competitions and all those super, super small runs. But I also want to challenge that notion of it just being a connoisseur product, it just being
The best for everyone.
a better product for anyone.
Yeah,
the person that's
exactly.
been using it for years,
For
or
sure.
someone that's just walking up today.
But my thing was not for connoisseurs, but it's by connoisseurs is what I was
I
saying. It's
got
like you're a connoisseur, and that's why we're getting these flavors and everything, because it's not just somebody who's like, yeah, get this, get that.
Yeah.
It's somebody who loves what they're doing and is passionate, and that's where I was going with that.
But that's so
nice.
interesting.
I feel you.
I do see that
you.
perspective
Thank you.
that you
Yeah,
put
man.
in, that perspective on that other side. It's like there's those that make and will say, man, these flavors are translatable through those that can taste it, feel it. The general masses can't understand this flavor. Now you're like, oh, come on, man.
Yeah, don't box.
Now
don't
you're
box
like
people.
gatekeeping a little bit of flavor. Come on,
Exactly.
share what you're trying to share to the people.
If it's good, you want to get
You
it
know?
out there, right?
Exactly. So just like prime example, a lot of us went to Emerald in August. We tapped into some crazy, crazy flavors, and it's been an uphill ever since then. It's been great,
That's an understatement.
I bought a puff coat because of it.
Well, you gotta have a flavor tasting for sure.
But back to your point, you were saying like that perspective is getting out to the masses, man. It's for everyone. I keep telling everyone, I'm like, this is the next medicine wave. Like there was a Frenchie Cannoli's wife. She was talking about it the other day. I was watching a podcast. She's like, she thinks there's this conspiracy where like hash is illegal still for like elderly because of how potent and targeted rosin and resin is for the elderly. And pharmaceuticals are stopping that from them tapping in. She's like, there is a conspiracy to stop us from getting into hash. And I was like, oh, wow, this is Frenchie's wife talking, So like you said, for everyone, that open process. So I definitely see that for sure, but it needs to change.
I totally agree, and just more education on all of it, all the extraction processes. But really, when it comes down to is the quality of the oil that's in people's vape carts, right? Especially in Utah, we're a vape market. People are vaping mostly.
Definitely.
Most of those vape carts are made with distillate, right? And
Yeah.
Yep.
the last thought about product, right? The last, the stepped on, the dropped on the floor, whatever. Well, and that's true. You know what I mean? It's like anything that goes wrong in the grow, anything that is something that you're not going to present to someone, let's just throw it in disty. So it's the last thought about product, right? And it's the most processed product, right? I've been comparing it to American cheese. I want to put it on like a t-shirt or something. You might see something in the future, maybe some slaps or something.
Yeah, cart single.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But, just a simple breakdown, like American cheese, you've got your disty, like a propane tank, you've got your BHO, and then an ice cube, you have your solventless, right? Like what would you want your oil made with, type of thing. And just helping just educate some more and more talk you guys can do on the podcast, which I know you guys do. That's really the goal, is to just let people know it's a different world out there.
Yeah.
It's so much deeper than what it is right now. Just flour and cartridges. Because hashish has been with humans for centuries, thousands of years.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So like what you're saying, like kind of like I've been looking into like paleo diets and like people eating how like, our ancestors did. It's like, okay, so if a lot of people are getting a lot of benefit from that, why not medicate the same way that our ancestors did?
Yep.
And that was hand rolling, using all those live buds and hand rolling. And then, they started doing the bubble hash, the dry sift.
I saw something today where they were taking it and doing static tech.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
rolling it into
Dry
pressing
sift.
into temple balls, pressing it into temple balls. And it was really cool to see. And it was somewhere, across the world. And it was like, dang, that's cool. Like they're doing it old school still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Static tech's tried and true.
And certainly, like you said, like hashish or hash, like they're not chasing like this to like THC. You know what I mean? Like they're not looking, but their potency lies in the fullness of it. You know what I'm saying? Where like we're flooded with like this over processed, reduced medicine.
Damn, I'm glad you said it like that. Because it is, when you said percentages earlier, like I seriously don't really look at THC percentages on the COA. I see them when you go to purchase, right? Because it's right next to it. But when we wash hash and press rosin and we send it off for a COA on like bulk test or whatever, I legit do not look at the THC percentage. I don't care about it. Like I'm looking at the terp page, I'm looking at my cannabinoid page, like as far as all the minors. I'm like, how many minors we have in here, how much CBG, how much THCV, some of the stuff that doesn't show up normally. Because that THC number is just not the way that red Lebanese.
Red Lebanese.
BC bubble, man. Yep.
It's crazy, dude.
So that's that old school hash loaf, right?
Yeah.
You think we'll do any of that at Pure Plant?
I sure hope so in the near future.
It says dried under the sun, which oxidizes the resin and gives it the iconic reddish color. The curing process is an art itself, passed down through generations and perfected over time.
Now that part, I don't think so.
Well, I was just barely going to touch on that. That's a whole nother level that we don't tap into. We have the privilege and luxury of a freeze dryer, right? But air dried hash, there's like, chef's kiss. I know we're on the thing, but like it's a completely different thing, right? You talk about an artisan product, right? For sure. So someone that had to go out of their way to not only get it wet, wash it, but now air dry it. All the space stacking up, you gotta have it like not getting moldy on you,
clean,
keeping contaminant out of it, keeping eyelashes, keeping everything out
moisture
of it.
Content low in the room that you're trying to do it in. So that way it is pulling moisture and you don't end up with a puddle for 12, 15 days.
So yes, Gabe is exactly right. This red Lebanese hash cured out in the sun, as of our current setup, we are unable to do at Pure Plant. We could maybe look into, cutting a hole in the roof and, that way we're covered by, our law requirements or whatever.
We can do something. We get glass.
That's why I've literally been preaching. I've been preaching.
And that's why it's so heady. How long did it say it was cured for? Does it say?
No.
The audio on it? Sorry, turn that on.
No, you're good.
But long cure. Just that thing. And that's what's so cool about all these different resins, all these different hash washes. Every single personality of all these resins is different. Feels different, smells different, looks different, run to run. That's why every day is fascinating.
Oh yeah. The Devil Driver that we were working with recently, it was astonishing seeing how purple the water ended up coming out. It was beautiful.
Wow. So
beautiful. And even in like the 160U, the one that has a little bit more of the plant material, there was purple, like anthocyanin, just sprinkled along the tops and like certain veins and stuff.
Like bright purple?
Just more opaque, a little bit more opaque purple, but really beautiful to see still. This cool strain that I wanted to highlight real quick. Speaking of the hash, yummy. It's so cool. On that topic, I have a question. So going back to more traditional style methods of consumption, they have a bit more plant material in them. Some people have been reintroducing anthocyanin into their hash. Now it has a purple hue, right?
Yeah.
So this is where some people are making purple hued hash from. They're reintroducing the anthocyanin water.
I remember when I showed you that, you were like, what? I showed you a picture of that like months ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I did a little bit more digging recently. Had some time with it, but what do you think of that? It's now closer to home a little bit.
So, yeah, it is a thing. And here's what I think is so Gabe with these leading questions. He's heard me talk about this. I will say you did use the word hater, and I don't consider myself to be a hater of anything. I just like if I feel like a hating type feeling, I'm like, God, this feels so uncomfortable. I don't know why I care about wanting to like take anything away from. Like I say at home, don't yuck on someone's yum, right? You know what I mean? If they like that, they can like that. You know what I mean? Like I might not like that, but I don't need to be over here like, why do you like that? So I think it's beautiful. You know what I mean? To see this purple hash. Would I love to get it unadulterated? You know what I mean? To just have it come out with having me to kind of trick it a little bit.
Right.
You know, an ethos that, you know, that I have and that we have, you know, when we deal with hash is I want to manipulate less. I also believe that to be with people, but just everything. But just I want to, like, for example, like a cold cure, you know what I mean? We pull it off the press, we put it in a jar, and then I want to just let it sit on its shelf, you know, until it's done, you know, nucleating. So if that takes 5 days, if that takes 40 days.
And that's just the densities of
THCA to terpene separation.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, exactly. So that will wax candle up on the bottom and terps on the top. And then you're just going to end up homogenizing them after.
Yeah.
But that length of time you can play with. You can play with heat. You can speed up that process to get just concentrate, you know, cold cure into jars quicker if we wanted to.
Yeah.
Which, you know, are we going to do some things like that at times? Yes. Do we play with the ovens? You know what I mean? To get your jams and your decarbs? Absolutely. So there's going to be some manipulation, but I do like to manipulate less. So the thing with the purple hash, and I think it's hella creative. You know what I mean? It's artistic as fuck for them to be able to figure out how to do it. Yeah, so they're just freeze drying the water, the purple water that we saw, the anthocyanin, terpene rich, got some hash in it too. Just freeze dry it so water goes away and it's just a purple lavender powder. Yep, exactly. And you can, you know,
reintroduce it.
Whatever ratio to get different levels of purple, pink, you know, type of thing. So that's just.
So like you're saying like really? It shouldn't. You're not saying that it shouldn't exist, but it's not your thing.
And the only reason why I wouldn't want to do it is because one, I don't find myself to be super artistic. So that's why the manipulate less lends itself very well to me, because I'm like, well, if I try to do anything fancy with it, I'm going to fuck that up.
Dude, it's like French cooking versus like primal cooking. You know what I mean? Like the France, just they do crazy stuff. It's all super thin and small and very processed. It's still very good, but very processed. But then you take a steak, just throw it on fire, salt and pepper.
Yeah, baby.
So shit rips.
Yeah, baby. You know, there's that keep it simple type, you know, adage, you know. Like, maybe I just stay in my lane, you know, because I'm going to try to do purple and I end up with brown. You know what I mean? You know, type of thing. And you're like,
reddish brown.
Is that, red clay? Is it the red lemonade? No, it's not. But yeah, no hate there. But just thought wise, the thought wise is why I wouldn't do it just would be the whole idea of the hash wash is to clear out all the contaminant, all the plant material, everything out, right? You know what I mean? That purple washed off, right? If it would have came with it when that scoop, right? You know what I mean? Then that's there. So what I would be doing is, you know, refining down to a point that you like, you know, pick whatever micron bag you want, you know, say it's your first pull 100 or whatever. Doing all that rinse. We sit there, we rinse it. Your arm gets tired, right? This water, rinse. And then freeze dryer, then pull it back out and then put something back into it. And I'm kind of like, whoa, you just rinsed. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like and yes, it's part of the art. It's part of the art process, but I did. And when I started washing hash, I did, and we talked about it, I think last time. But I usually like to have like a beard and like longer hair, not long, but like not a shaved head. But I got paranoid about like contaminant going into hash. Like I was like, I don't want hair. I want to shave. I want to wax my arms. I want to shave my head. I don't want anything. And Gabe will tell you, like, I kind of like get on. I'm like, hey, are you standing over that? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, is there like
booger hair?
And we do a good job with PPE, but but it is in my mind all the time. Like
that's great.
And I'm not usually a paranoid person,
no, that's
but I'm like, seriously, I'm like, I don't want shit in there that we're trying to get out.
Well, compared to like a grower, right? When he has his trimmers and everybody inside their grow rooms, you know what I mean? They got these guys that you gotta like step on a sticky mat before you go in, and an ISO bath before you like go in the room. You know what I mean? You can't just like touch the plant. Like, sorry guys, you just gotta stand behind here and look at it. We don't know where you gotta put on the PPE. So similar. You know what I mean? Like in your lane, it's like making sure that you do your due process by maintaining that quality, and it's kind of like the growers doing that same process. So it's almost like fire in to fire out type stuff. You know, if like they can't do it, it's kind of hard to translate through here to here. So it's kind of like this chain reaction.
Different filters.
Yeah. Fire hot throughout all the steps.
Yeah, man. But that's facts though. That's facts.
Yeah.
90U, 100U, 120.
And it's the same thing with the distillate, right? That material, right? Like if we're not clean and protective of it, like we don't have a mask to cover up. We're wearing masks, but we don't have a mask to cover up the hash, right? The hash is what is going to be is. We're not going to run it through alcohol, to pull out any impurity that shows up. Like it's if there's shit in there, it's going to show up in the after the wash, right?
Yeah, 100%. So, what are the challenges you face as like a hash maker sometimes in Utah? Like, what are the daily questions, and it doesn't have to be specific, but sometimes like you get questions that are like, hey man, why is it so expensive? Why isn't there more? And it's kind of hard for the general average person to understand a little bit.
With the cartridges too, people are like, why is this so fickle? Why is it getting clogged?
Why is it burning?
Yeah, why is it burning? Why does it taste burning? So many questions come along with that. Yeah, with hash coming into Utah, and
those would be probably the top two frustrations that I have with running hash and rosin, which by the way, technically we can't even sell hash. That's a side note, which we can talk about whenever, but we can't. Hash is a banned word.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
What's the word again that they're using for it?
What is the word? I would love
concentrate.
Found a replacement. But they're banning the word.
We can't call it hash. So that's like, so we did a piatella, right? So that's a cured hash, but we're able to call it piatella, which helps. You know what I mean? But I can't call it cured hash, right?
And you know what's
it wasn't
crazy
even a true piatella
about that banned word is nobody can answer me why it's banned.
Well, the answer that I've got is that it's a recreational term.
Where's the logic behind that? Because that's just a light in my face.
That's the challenge.
I mean,
I think everybody gets an ignorance.
It is.
It might, and that's maybe not a bold-faced lie. It's just a not knowing.
And it's like you're in a position you can't have that ignorance about something that you're making decisions about and saying, oh, this is a banned word. It's like, well, you made an action about something that you're ignorant about. It's like
Something
you know what I mean? Why
understand.
Why are you just banning words out of when you're ignorant, out of ignorance? It doesn't make any sense to me.
And I agree. I think it all comes back to exactly what we're talking about right now is education.
Yeah.
And people just not knowing. We can be, I can get critical.
Few producers too. There's only few producers in Utah that are. That's the tough part. A lot of people it's not even competition, but it's like when you're depending on one company, to pump out that quality, and it's kind of hard for people to become.
And what's the negative aspect around hash and like recreational? Like,
to me, the real like weird thing to me is we can have like purple panties flower go across the shelf, no problem. Hash though. No. And hash isn't even a grassroots term. You know, hash is
an Arabic term thousands of years ago. Hashish is a sort, and that's another thing too. It's a whole nother ignorance there, but it's.
Like, we didn't come up with this word out of like the bros. You know,
you know what I mean? There's
it's not even our word that we created.
It's been written about a lot of these historical texts, but weren't high times or whatever. Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, so the fight, you know, and it's not a fight, but just education, educating patients, everyone at the pharmacies, other processors, and I'm not saying this is all my job. It's everyone searching for education. And really, that's the biggest key, I think, is the search for it. Don't expect someone to come up to you and start handing you information, right? You've got to go out and be open to it and look for it. But with the lawmakers, and will we be able to call hash and sell it as that? I'm very confident that gets fixed in the future. I just don't know when that future is. I still will keep sending emails and texts to
you got a crew right behind
you know what I mean? And that's what's nice about trying to get things done when it makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, hey, you know, there's also the other word Kush that's on that list.
Really?
It's regional, it's historical, wow. It's
that too is it's Indian. It's Hindu origin.
It's the Kush Mountains, it's a place.
Literally.
So
it's just the recreational aspect that they keep focusing on.
That Kush. It's been rapped about too much, but it's been too beautiful to people too much. So I think it's
Kush.
And that's the biggest thing that Cannabis faces with the stigma is not supposed to have too much fun with it, right? Like, you're not supposed to have too much fun with your medicine, right? So when you have people having fun using cannabis, it's like, oh, that's a negative thing. But like,
it's not a medicine.
I'm having a good life right now. I'm having fun right now, just because I have my medicines here. So yeah, education. But the original question was the hurdles, cost. Rosin hash is expensive.
It is.
And do you guys know why?
Why?
Yeah.
Because it's a process?
Well, and so that
is cultivated food processors out here to like materials, inventory. I'm sure like the challenges that you guys have to face in order to process, such a small margin of the market, in order to achieve a maximum effect for it, like that's super hard, especially when a small percentage only knows about it, you know, and now you're like, okay, now we got to get people.
Well, the market's so controlled as well, right?
The oversight.
We only have so many licenses out. Right. Like, it's difficult. So that's where I think.
Yeah. And you're right. There are definitely all those factors. Really comes down, I would say, to two very basic factors why the price difference, though. One would be, like you said, the process to make it. It is very labor intensive. It's a lot goes in and a small yield. Mm-hmm. So, making a lot of it, gets tricky. Then, the growers having access to the materials and pricing of those materials. But the pricing comparison, so we talked about the inputs that go into like a distillate cart usually. Sometimes you use full flower, but a lot of times it's trim and the stuff that's thought about last, right?
Right.
The stuff that we wash is the stuff that they want to dry and cure and put into flower jars type of stuff. You know what I mean? Like, we're looking
it's the flower that people want to smoke.
Top buds, the stuff that looks good. So when you look at cost, does the shit on the floor or the top nugs cost more? Mm-hmm. Just going into it, I feel like everyone's going to be like, well, you're going to pay more for the whole bud, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And that is the biggest cost reason, right? It's that same thing. Like, are you on a hot dog or you talked about steak earlier, right? Like, that's your difference. The hot dogs are cheap. Hell yeah, plenty of cheap hot dogs because the stuff going into it was cheap to make.
Yeah, you heard him.
So that's the two biggest things that, what I mean? So it's not even yes, it is a quality, quote unquote, sell, but just inputs are different costs
For sure.
for a reason.
100%. That makes sense. So if you want your rosin, you heard the man. Get your money.
What do we always say here, guys? What do we always say here, boys? Fire in,
fire out, man. That's the goal. That's the key. Come on.
I just want to know what got you into this whole hash journey.
It was first you got to have a love for cannabis.
Yes, sir.
So for since I met her very first day, I met her over 30 years ago now.
Throwback.
Yeah, exactly. It was when Cannabis, right? Met Cannabis. I love the effect. I love the look. Looking at cannabis under a microscope, seeing crystals, trichomes, right? All of this stuff. Then the evolution, just like anything, the refinement of hash, and that's why I kind of go side by side for me. With the hash is the refinement of myself. My palate has grown and changed. I've experienced more. I'd love flower. I always will love flower, but also looking at it and being like, well, wait, there can be an even more refined whole fruit experience from the flower. Yeah. So just clearing out some of that noise, and just the fascination, the daily fascination of every single resin being different. And just keep searching. The search. It's a search. It's a search that will never end. Yeah. Is what's like you're talking about the flavor train. That's how I got a fat gut, because I chase too many flavors, right? Like always trying all these flavors. And that's how I look at life is I want to try everything that I can
get your palate on.
Come on.
So,
That's one thing we were talking about is like flavors. The other day, it's like candies, like the new wave right now. But I really am looking for some
funk, gas. Where's the gas?
I had some GMO. I had some GMO, some full milk, man. That was from East Coast Farms. Man, it's memorable on the back of my tongue. Like I can memorize like how piercing it was, and I was like, damn, man. And it's hard to get rid of that now because you can't find it. Even like sativas, like that Devil Jabber, you said it's hard to wash a sativa strain sometimes.
You know why I love that GMO, dude?
GMO is awesome.
It's just different. And the rodeo cookies temple ball, snap in my mind real quick what it tastes like. I instantly remember.
But like you said, though, it's like this progress of like flavors and experience too. It's like you start like you're young and you're just puffing and huffing and hitting everything. Now it's like, ooh, now I'm experiencing, like you said, a more refined process. Now I can taste the flavors. Now my palate can actually enjoy the flavors of this refining process. So shout outs to you guys constantly pushing the flavor town too.
Keep searching for more.
Like Utah needs those flavors, not only in flower, not only in concentrates, but in the solvent as well too, because it's so small. But if people tap into it, man, it's going to be a roller coaster from there. People will get into, they want to know how do you press rosin? What is raw? What is ash? Like DIY events one day when patients can come just, watch a press and they're like, whoa, that's cool.
Well, try that. And in my utopian cannabis society world is home grows there, right? So people are growing their own. People are able to wash their own. They can press their own at home.
That's the dream.
You know what I mean? So they're able to make their own medicine. So absolutely pressing at home. And it really is so fun to do. Like just making a temple ball, like is the easiest thing to do with all you need is a pile of hash. Sometimes that's the hardest thing to come by.
What's wild? I did that with the super booth today. And man, you remember that one?
Yeah, dude, it was crazy.
I had like a ball just with some dry sift.
Very citrusy.
I was just going to town, just ripping apart for everyone. It was like, wow.
Like citrus gas.
And then everyone's like, I never really smelled like gas. Like, that's weird. And I'm like, yeah, you smell that.
All that nuance.
Yeah, that chemical conversion, the changes that happen with the heat and pressure, you know what I'm saying? So it's fire what we are teaching others through you guys showing what's available in the market. When people are like hash or rosin, it's like, yeah, do you know what that is? It's like, oh, it's cleaner. Oh, I might get a better effect out of this. Oh, I won't feel hazy out of this, and that's the beautiful part about it too. So I enjoy what you guys are pushing out.
Yeah, and it's not just by connoisseurs for connoisseurs. It's by connoisseurs for everyone.
Yeah, for everyone. That's what I say.
You're kind of giving people like a shortcut, you know, instead of having to go through like this long cannabis
Shatter
journey and stuff. And yeah, go through the black shatter and go through all the other shit that, you know, we've all gone through.
It had a place. It was part of the progression and refinement,
Exactly.
right?
And so it's like the fact, like JJ said, is like for everybody to have, you know, access to something that a connoisseur has like basically devoted their lives to, like you have, and, you know, give you this final product. Some people might not be able to, I feel like maybe recognize that, you know, like, or like really palletize it in a way that they can be grateful for it. But there will be a lot of people that do, you know, and that's what starts their cannabis journey. You know, it's just like I smoked hash, and after that, I was in love, you know, and then they just go.
Testament right here.
Well, we know a guy that only smokes hash, mainly. That works with us.
No flower, no.
Don't want to blast his name out there, but yeah, it's hash.
Well, like one thing to shine on that too is like less inhalation of any smoke. Yet, and like even when you're using a vaporizer, you don't have a carcinogen in there anymore. Second thing is overall effects, like you mentioned, not feeling hazy, but like the brain fog, not having brain fog. I think it should be said like that, because hazy, they're like, oh, I feel like most people that hear the word hazy associate it with being stoned, right?
Yeah.
That's a haze.
And that's brain fog.
Yeah, but
like you said,
but brain fog is something that I don't experience when I consume a solventless concentrate. It's something that I can feel like I can achieve the effects that I'm looking for without the head fog or the haziness that comes with,
and without hurting your lungs.
Yeah, or without hurting my lungs. So I did want to kind of like highlight that spot a little bit.
I like that highlight. One question I just wanted to before we wrap up. The introduction of like lounges and like dabs and stuff. Like, do you like to pair food with your dabs, with your hash? Do you ever experiment? I had a banana OG and strawberries, and that was the craziest combination I've ever had in my life.
Hey,
like I had
strawberries with your banana.
No, so it had the banana hash, and then I ate the strawberries after, and it was just mind blowing. I had to like share. I'm like, try it, and just
dude,
wow. And I was like, get right, strawberry banana.
Dude,
it was crazy.
I had pork belly the other pork belly soup. Paired it with super boof. The flip of the flavor, Super Boo bomb. It's one of my favorites.
It is.
I love
it. Just won Lord of the Rosins third place too.
Yeah, it's super delicious. But the saltiness, like flipped with that like super grapefruit note.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude, it was bomb. Like it highlighted itself with the saltiness, in my opinion. Just delicious, dude.
I don't do as much like dedicated pairing as I would like to.
Is there one that you would want to try someday?
That's not exactly true though. That because and not so much like at home. I won't go out of my way to like put a menu together.
Yeah.
And put this with this, but I do see a lot of these other states doing stuff like this. These hash flights and these pairings and whatnot. And I would love to go to those. I would love to put one here. I would love to. And that's actually something that could be done. You'd have to do a little bit of
medicine with food,
work with it. And some people have talked about it before as well. But I would love to be a part of that, or just attend that, or I would cheer that on, or any of it.
Cool. You hear that, listeners?
But
get on.
But I will, speaking real quick about the eating cannabis and the distillate that usually goes in edibles as well, but using rosin to displace that distillate oil and those flavors that are in that rosin. And we definitely are tasting a ton of different edible flavors and pairing them specifically with rosin flavors.
Wow.
So that super boof and that got put together with Pinana, then got put together with that's the calamansi edible. Actually, if any of you guys haven't seen that one,
yeah,
fresh squeezed calamansi.
We just got that block, dude.
Yummy. Yeah, so that's the super move Pinana mixed together. Sorry, that's not gonna come through well, but yeah, so we definitely dedicated pairing flavors with the rosin, how it's presenting.
Black amber going with like cinnamon, green apple. So just kind of
Wicked
pairing,
apple.
yeah, that.
You guys have heard me talk about it multiple times on the podcast, pairing like a hot drink with a good dab or even a bomb rip. I love that. Dabmarine submarines. You ever heard what that is?
No, what is that?
So a dabmarine or a submarine would be if you take a hit, right, as big as you can, and then drink your beverage. And it's usually, I like to like a coffee usually, or a chai latte, and then exhale after you drink the beverage.
Yeah,
that's nice.
Cannonball.
I call it a submarine. Or if it's a dabmarine.
I like that.
Because then you get that, and even I'll do like what I call a double dabmarine, and so I will take hash and then take a flower hit and then take a drink, and I feel like the hash is like deeper in my lungs with the flower on top.
It's what wake and bake like no joke.
I wish I could wake and bake like no joke.
There were the triple. You got triple 3 bangers. Exactly. He makes a gravity bomb with a triple banger in his coffee.
My coffee pot is a rig.
Yeah, exactly. Tight. Well, because that's the hippie speedball, right? Coffee and a joint. Yeah. You know what I mean? Would be the hippie speedball, right?
Like that. Hippie speaker, bro.
So like that's right up my alley. You know what I mean? With that hot drink and a little something to wind down or get going, whatever. Mm-hmm. No, I'm absolutely with it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a cool experience.
So how did you guys come up, or like what did you guys look for when you guys were pairing those rosins with the flavors?
So and that's what's interesting, because and that's what I need to do, but I need to taste the rosin by itself, to know. But so really what we're going off of is smell that we get in the hash wash, on the rosin press, and then smell after decarb, you know what I mean? Those notes. We'll have tasted it by that time because cold cure and whatnot, and vape has been filled. So we have a taste on it. And like Starfire Sunshine in the bag, on the press, tasting it. There's like a smokiness that's always been there. It's like almost like a grilled pear. Just knowing that note, you have the ice cream cakes, which is kind of like a sweet gas. So just kind of finding something that leans like the Super Boost, super citrusy. Mm-hmm. So we're like citrus. Let's put this with another citrus to lean in there. So just that, but not actually. And that's what's interesting, because making a taste decision just off of inhaled taste and smell, because you actually haven't eaten the rosin by itself. And cannabis is bitter. You know what I mean? They're all bitters. Yeah, bitter. Right. Some will taste different, but it's all going to be bitter, right?
It's not going to be good.
Just some more than others, but I still think it tastes better than Disty. So,
but like the ice cream cake, let's go. The ice cream cake we did with like an orange creamsicle. So like pairing it with something that you would associate that profile with, from the cold cure experience that we've had.
That creaminess,
Yeah, just kind of staying in the same wheelhouse, or curating wheelhouses for what profiles we have going right now. That's what's been fun about it, is just kind of experimenting, seeing what's working, what's not.
Yeah.
That fresh Calamansi was a hit, though. I tell you what, it's bomb.
It sounds good.
It just smells delicious.
That makes. Do we need to stop? Are we done? Talking too much.
So we were supposed to, but they'll come knock
in the next 5. Yeah.
And I was just I didn't answer your one question. I did want to address it though, about the finicky carts. You also talked about trying things out. You know what I mean, with the edibles and whatnot, the different flavors, different carts. Definitely would apologize to anyone that's had any issue with any cart. I get frustrated with the hardware of vape carts, because that's the pro and the con with the resin. They're all different, right? Yeah. So some carts will be just great, put a different oil in it and it's not, so different consistency. And talking about the freshness of the product. So distillate cart, it's just got its terpene blend, whatever, it's nondescript THC distillate, put together. It's consider it like American cheese, like we talked about. It's more shelf stable, right? It's more uniform. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's predictable.
Right? Whereas this rosin, it has a shelf life, right? It's degrading. There's a reason why we keep it in the fridge. It's why we keep it in the freezer, to keep those freshness, because it will break down quicker and differently, like fresh food.
Yeah.
Will
change.
So that's why you'll see more oxidation in the cart. Sometimes they'll change colors.
Yeah.
The flavor changes because it really is a living thing. That cure is never ending. And yes, maybe the flavor gets better, maybe it gets worse. So that's what's nice about the hash rosin experience, running smaller runs and not doing a ton of the same things. Sure. So that small batch, so you're able to get kind of fresher products, right? Because we make less, sell through, make more, right? So
and that only makes sense to just make a small batch of something so complex. You know what I mean? It's like, because the more you're gonna, you can't really commercialize it too much, or else it's really not what it's gonna be originally.
It wouldn't be financially viable to have 10 different kind of cards for 10 different textures of rosin, and then even like he said, it's going to change over time in that pen. So
So exactly. So a lot of different things which people don't know, right? And I'm not using that as an excuse or anything. Just know that it gives me a lot of anxiety when I hear carts not working and trying to find a cart that works for the most amount of times and people is the goal. So we have tried some different hardware. We actually are going to try a couple more.
Nice.
And just like the hash washes, just like the rosin presses, every time we do it, we're trying to improve. Yeah. So anytime we go out and buy vape hardware that we're going to put our rosin in, we're trying to improve on the last time.
Yes.
Was this a good thing or was it a bad thing, right? Sure. Should we keep going this way or do we need to go a different way?
100%. Sometimes
that costs money and time, but wanting people to have the best experience that they can get.
And we like that, man, because you care. It shows how much you care about your quality and the product that you're putting into it, man.
Yeah, we truly appreciate it. We truly appreciate you coming by.
Coming through, man.
You guys just gassing me up.
You know what I'm saying? To wrap it up,
you
man.
You deserve it, dude. Yeah, honestly, it's people like you that make this industry 100%. And this community keep going. There's people that just show love, and it's just it's not really, the money is a big part, but the bigger part is the fact that you want to spread it to everybody.
Yeah, you're passionate.
Everyone deserves some of this,
And if he hasn't said it already, he said it, man. Education. Educate yourself, man. It's huge.
I'll answer questions. I'll sit there and geek out.
You see?
Talk too much.
Man,
That's for the people.
If you guys, walking legend. I know you don't agree with it, but you're a walking legend. You do so much love for this.
You truly are, bro.
No pressure. Huh?
No pressure.
No pressure.
Hey, I love you guys too.
Appreciate you, man. To wrap up I'm going to ask you one last question. Are you ready for the cold?
I am, but
let's go.
But I'm insulated way better than all of you.
The flavors
and also I do cold training. We wash in the cold room. I've been cold all year long.
We were talking about that the other day. Washing outside in the cold, just outside and literally in the cold. Hey guys, we're out here in the cold mountains, man. Washing.
We almost wanted to do that yesterday.
Quick
mid-show.
Okay, quick.
We got.
You said a lot of us. What were you mentioning?
Well, we almost had a disaster yesterday. We lost power mid-wash.
Oh,
lights out, everything.
That's a nightmare, right?
So that's why it's perfect.
The snow. Well, in a container, you know what I mean?
Well, that's all we were like. Can we make this work? But we might need to go outside. But
there you go, man.
It wouldn't have worked for us. So good thing power came back on.
Well, you heard it here. He's excited for the winter. I'm excited for the winter. You heard it here. We had Juice Man on the show. Any last words, man?
Yeah, I think we were all able to show our praise to you. Thank you again for coming in and
I can't wait to have you back on.
Thank you, JC. We appreciate all the hash knowledge, man. It's your boy Seth.
it's your boy Gabe.
It's your boy JJ.
It's Javi.
And we got our boy.
JC's here.
Yeah.
I'm leaving though. See y'all.
Terrence time, man. You talk Cannabis Club. UCC, what it is.
Peace out, y'all.
Yeah.
Get that hash, man. If you don't know, now you know. Be a hash maker. If you got little kids, teach them. Get it. Professions, for real. You want your kid to make you medicine. Come on. Teach them. I get my kid.